A textbook on leadership can be a potentially useful tool, but let's face it, leadership skills can only be gained through the real world through experience and practice. Traditionally, this has also meant real-world consequences when a leader stumbles or fails. This is where our next guest comes in. Bjorn Billhardt is CEO of Enspire Learning, a company that specializes in simulation-based learning, creating places where leaders are safe to learn. Bjorn, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Bjorn, first of all, why leadership simulations?
So there are a lot of professions like medicine or law that require you to learn a large body of knowledge, and leadership is just not one of them. Leadership requires you to really understand how an organization operates across multiple levels and departments. It requires you to communicate with people and have a lot of insights about what works and what doesn't work when you lead an organization or when you're just being a frontline manager and have a team of people reporting to you. And none of those things can be learned by reading a textbook. Otherwise, people would be able to read a book by Jack Welch and become Jack Welch, and that's, of course, not what's happening in the real world.
Now, how do leadership simulations work?
A good leadership simulation puts you in a sandbox environment where you learn by doing and you learn by failing. It's complex enough that it allows you to really see key relationships and gain insights from the practice of doing some of the tasks that you do as a manager or as a leader in context. And there's a really, when it works, there's a really rich insight that can be gained by playing through a day or 2 days of a leadership simulation in context, where you have to make decisions about employees, you have to communicate with employees, you have to understand what it takes to work across functional silos, and those are all skills that, again, cannot be learned from a textbook, but when you put people in a sandbox environment and then you provide them with targeted and specific feedback based on the actions that they do in the simulation, that's how you get people to elevate their leadership skills.
Well, what should we take into consideration when choosing to train with a company like Enspire Learning?
Great question. The most important thing when you pick a partner to develop your leaders is really looking at the experience of the partner that you're picking. There are great gaming companies that create amazing games that one can play, but they don't really teach you that much specific details on how to be a better leader. They're just a lot of fun. So you want to have a partner that understands leadership development, but at the same time, there are also a lot of leadership development companies that don't know how great games work, and so oftentimes they put you in experiences where you simply have, let's say, a little role-play exercise without context. And that also, or they put you in an exercise where there isn't a lot of complexity to the choices that you make. And so there, while these experiences are targeted at learning the leadership skills, they're just not rich enough for you to really learn from your own experiences.
Sounds like an incredibly useful tool. Bjorn, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Find more information about Enspire Learning at enspire.com. That's ENSPIRE.com.